You're watching Oilers Nation Everyday with Tyler Yaremchuk. Your one-stop shop for all things Oilers.
So the Final Four in the Stanley Cup playoffs are the Oilers, their biggest Western Conference playoff rival over the last 20 years, and the last two teams who've beaten them in the Cup Final. And you're telling me this isn't a team of destiny? Let's get into it with the lead. I mean, you also could have done something if it was Winnipeg or whatever. I get you can draw parallels, but I'm choosing to believe there's a meaning in who's in the Final Four this year in the NHL. Conference finals start tonight. Just not for the Edmonton Oilers. Welcome into Oilers Nation Everyday, live from the Sports Closet studio. From jerseys to hats to the legendary foam finger, you'll find it all and more at the Sports Closet. The show is also a presentation of Bet365. Download the app today. Use promo code NATION, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. The chat's nice and fired up. Liam's nice and fired up. Weird, gloomy Tuesday, though. Hard to get the energy up.
Yeah, a bit dull out there. It feels like it's October.
It does.
We were in the playoffs, not beginning this season.
I know, and it is May 20th. We're getting close to June now. I feel like we shouldn't be having days like this. Very upsetting. Is it raining? It might be raining a little bit.
Can we get a weather forecast, Aaron? I don't really have a good view around.
Got to get Waz with the green screen.
Yeah, what's going on over there, Aaron?
I can't confirm. It looks like it's raining right now.
All right.
Fuck.
The patio is wet.
God damn it.
Is that going to ruin your plans tonight?
No, I just don't. I don't know. I like being at home when it rains.
You already dealt with your clay. You're good.
This week would be a nightmare for Clay Day.
Over in the YouTube chat, which is brought to you by Odd Company Brewing and the all-new Nation Beer Everyday Lager, a crisp, clean lager crafted not just for game day, but for every day. Find them, 2 locations in the Edmonton area. Jaron is in. Dropped in a couple of super chats, actually. My 2 cents. Vegas and LA are getting underrated because of how quickly we dismantled them, but that's more on how well we played than them being bad. This will be a quicker series than people think. He followed it up. We will not be denied this year. There's a vibe. I love it. Going to my first playoff game, game 4, hoping it's for the series win, but he says Oil in 5. We were doing our staff predictions downstairs here at Oilers Nation HQ, and we were getting a lot of Oilers in 6, Oilers in 5, not a whole heck of a lot of Oilers in 7, which makes sense, I suppose, given that, again, OilersNation.com lines up. But, yeah, I mean, it is interesting, the vibe coming into this series. Even in the chat against LA, again, you're watching the show, you're obviously an Oilers fan. In the chat against LA, there were a lot of people who were still like, hey, I don't know if this team is going to be able to finish off the Kings again. And the Kings look different. There was a sense of concern heading into round 1. And round 2, I think a lot of those same people. And I love that there's a whole bunch of you that are just blindly the Oilers are going to win no matter what. But going into round 2, there were still some people who were like, man, this Vegas team is not that LA team. They're not, and we kind of said it too. Vegas isn't going to make the same mistakes LA did. They're not going to gift wrap you games in the same way. The Oilers need to play better to get past them. And then the Oilers did just play better to get past them. And now you have a round 3 where we're not seeing a whole heck of a lot in this chat that's man, I'm scared of Dallas. And I think part of that is just because the Oilers have really kind of earned some respect the last 2 rounds.
Yeah, I think they really have. And goaltending was obviously something that was a bit of a question mark.
Yep.
And Skinner and Stu, both of them have played exceptionally well, minus obviously the first 2 games of the run. And everything just seems to have come together for them. The depth scoring, obviously, they're playing a tough brand of hockey too, I think it's fair to label it. They're not just relying on 2 guys to try and win him some hockey games. And the power play sucks. And here they are in the Western Conference Finals, looking like they're going to go on their way to the Stanley Cup Final. And if you had asked me earlier in the season, honestly, before the playoffs even started, I was a little unsure how far this team would be able to go. But I'm all in. I really do not fear this Dallas Stars team at all. I think Orange is good, but he's beatable. And I know that if the Oilers are scoring 3+ a game, Dallas cannot compete.
Follow up on something we talked about yesterday from Cato. My question to you, Tyler, when you made your predictions on the rosters for Marner or without Marner this summer, why was Freddie not a part of either of them? Again, to bring you back to some of the quick little math we did, unless Freddie Anderson is signing on a discount for a short-term 1-2 year deal to try to rebuild some value after having a pretty injury-riddled season, I don't know if Edmonton can squeeze him back in. I think the one thing that could change a lot of the calculations for the Oilers is who's actually playing next year. Do you have another LTIR guy after a long playoff run or something like that? But again, to give you the math, $9.4 million in cap space right now, but you're going to subtract both Dineen and Brown, who are listed on their Puckpedia roster. You're going to subtract those two to bring you to around $11 million. And then you're going to have 9.5, 10 of that go to Bouchard. So you have $1.5 million to sign whatever forwards you really want to bring back. Granted, you probably subtract Jones off of this roster. So you maybe have $2.5 million for forwards, and you're going to need to sign 2 forwards. So I doubt there's money to make it work, unless, of course, you trade an Adam Henrique, you trade a Victor Arvidsson, or you trade Evander Kane. If you trade one of those 3, Freddie Anderson's got a spot on this team. Or sorry, Trent Frederick. Jesus.
Damn it, Sergeant Battle.
Was I saying Freddie Anderson the whole time?
No, I think you just said it once.
I only said it once?
People
Trent
saying
Frederick. Someone kept saying Freddie. Jesus. Trent Frederick. Trent Frederick has a spot on this team if you move out of contract. If you don't move out of contract, there's just no way to make the money work for Trent Frederick.
Maybe you were saying Anderson.
I might have been saying Freddie Anderson the whole time.
That was Trent Frederick talk, folks.
Trent Frederick. I'd
rather have him on the team than Mitch Marner. I'd
Trent
rather
Frederick?
have Mitch Marner,
Freddie
but
Anderson?
I know that they're going to get Trent Frederick more likely than Mitch Marner.
Well, yes.
Yeah, so there you go.
Also, one of them costs you $3 million. The other one costs you $13. Again, one of them is a 100-point player, so, that guy's
Interesting
better.
comments today, though, from Marner. Be it, not saying, he's gone.
He's gone.
100%.
He's totally gone.
Wild.
Yeah. I said Freddie Anderson the whole last time.
Damn.
That's crazy.
Glenn Anderson, maybe.
Freddie Glenn Anderson?
Trent
That's
Anderson.
on us.
Yeah,
we
Freddie
should have
Ander-
corrected you quicker.
Yeah,
Freddie Anderson.
Freddie Anderson has an extension in Carolina already. Yep, he does. Frederico? We're not good with names today, are we?
Very confused.
All right, YouTube chat. I'm going to stop looking at you for a little bit and get back to the show that I need to do. All right, couple of things. Aaron, I'm going to switch up the ads on you a little bit here. Always love throwing you a little
Keep me on my
curveball.
toes. Keep me on my toes.
Keep you on your toes. Let's do one big take, but it's going to be brought to you by Tourism Jasper. This summer, find your happy place in Jasper. From hiking trails, paddling wild waters, or sharing laughs by the fire, happiness finds you here. Jasper is open, vibrant, and ready to welcome you back for more unforgettable moments. Drive over, play outside, and maybe even stay up late. Your best summer memories aren't behind you. They're waiting for you this summer in Jasper. Plan your trip at jasper.travel/summer. Liam, I want to talk about the lineup a little bit and give you my one big take. Wrote about this a little bit yesterday at Oilersnation.com. Usually I am against this.
Okay.
I have not been pro-nuclear forward option for quite some time. I think there might be a really good case for it in this series against the Dallas Stars.
Okay, hit me with it.
So at this point in 2024, after round 2 last year, Oilers getting set to play the Dallas Stars. The Oilers were basically getting all their scoring from McDavid or Draisaitl, or when McDavid and Draisaitl were on the ice. At 5-on-5, they had 24 goals with one or both of their 2 superstars on the ice, and another 14 power play goals from their big guns. So with McDavid and Draisaitl on the ice, 38 goals at 5-on-5 or the power play. Without those 2, they only had 4 of them. That's a crazy number. With McDavid and Draisaitl off the ice at 5-on-5 last year through 2 playoff rounds, they had 4 goals.
Damn.
That's according to Natural Stat Trick. That is a staggering disparity. You compare that to this season with McDavid or Draisaitl on the ice at 5-on-5, 19 goals. With both of them off the ice, 18 goals.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. A big reason why is because the new Evander Kane-Hyman line was very good in the first series against Los Angeles.
Yep.
They've had Connor Brown step up and have really good games. The Evander Kane-Henrique duo chipped in 3 goals in that one hockey game. And here's the numbers for those of you watching along on YouTube. You can see Connor and Leon, 10 goals for, 6 goals against. Connor without Leon, 2. Leon without Connor, 0. And I do think that Leon without Connor doesn't include the cap and an OT winner, so now that one's at 1. But with those 2 off, 16-9, I think there's a really good case here that you could look at Dallas and say, okay, Dallas has one good line rolling right now.
Yes.
It's Hintz, Rantanen, and Granlund. And you could also say that their numbers are a little bit of a paper tiger.
I didn't realize. I thought Granlund was doing a little bit better, but he has 4 goals and he has a hat trick.
Yeah.
So that's that.
And a lot of their shot metrics aren't great. The luck stats really lean in their way. Jake Ottinger's bailed them out a few times. Going power on power, I think, will greatly benefit the Edmonton Oilers. I think Connor and Leon dominate the Rantanen and Hintz line. I think they have that ability, I should say.
Okay.
And I don't think Dallas is going to be confident enough in their bottom 9 to sit there and go, let's try to move Rantanen and Hintz away from the McDavid matchup. And I think they're going to have no choice but to go power on power. And if they do, I think your bottom nine's playing some great hockey right now, and you can probably trust them. Yeah. So why not, instead of, because the alternate approach would be you put Leon Draisaitl with Podkolzin and Kapanen, like you did against Eichel, and you say, Leon, your job is to shut down Hintz and Rantanen.
Yes.
Do what you did against Eichel, shut him down, and then you're given a great matchup to the McDavid, Nugent Hopkins, Hyman line because they get one of those soft ones. Well, I mean, why try to just saw off that top matchup? If you think no matter what, your other three lines are going to be Dallas's other three lines, if you can kind of follow along my thought process here. If you think your bottom three lines, whether McDavid's involved in that or not, or your other three lines, can win their matchups, then why just try to saw off that Rantanen Hintz lineup? Why not try to win that one as well and get a little greedy? I think there's something to the idea of loading it up.
I don't think it's a bad idea by any means. Like you said, the rest of the team is playing so well at the moment that it could benefit them doing that. The one worry I would have, and I think it could be more an advantage to Edmonton, is I think Dallas is going to try and spread out the defensemen a little bit more too, which maybe having those two together would not be beneficial because it's clearly a strong spot in their team. They have three top defensemen, Lindell, Holly, and Heiskanen. I was listening to a Dallas show today, and they were saying typically Heiskanen would have played with Lindell, but now they want to have Lindell away from him so that Holly can have the skating ability with Heiskanen. Mm-hmm. So then having Lindell go with Ceci and then go up against someone like having Draisaitl go up against that pair. And Lindell's good, don't get me wrong, but we know what Cody Ceci is. He's fine. I think that's something the Oilers can really expose. And if you can get out there against that bottom pair in two, like maybe that's when you load it up. I think it can really work. You just got to hope that depth can keep kind of rolling here. Like, I believe in Podkolzin can keep playing his game. I'm not really sure what's going to happen with Kapanen, to be honest. Maybe the amount of Finns in the series will boost him up a little bit. But, yeah, I'm in, I'm out, I think I'll say. Would you do a homer on the road, Mo, if you had to pick one?
I think either way it has its advantages, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And maybe it's something that he just goes to every once in a while when he realizes he's got a good matchup. And, I mean, Knoblauch's always been pretty good at that, but yeah, I don't know. Sean, whatever Knobs is doing has been working. If he wants to split them up, I'm all in. Don't change what's not broken. Sure. Mulick on the Stars blue line says that bottom pair is a roller coaster type pairing. Yeah, whether it's Bichelle and Petrovic, I combine their names there, or if they have Lyubushkin, whatever they end up doing.
They did skate today, so there were some lines, and it looks like this is going to be the pairing of what they're going with, I believe.
So they're playing Petrovic over Lyubushkin.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I think they're going to go 12 forwards by the looks of it as well. What did I say his name? Bichelle. I believe he leads their team in hits, which I don't think is like a great thing for a defenseman to have. Like, it's good that you're physical and everything, but it also means you never have the puck when that guy's on the ice. So I think that's an area to expose. This Dallas team is really weird. Like, they're obviously the Dallas Stars, and you have to give them the credit. I think I saw a stat. They've been to 6 of 7 Western Conference Finals, or maybe that was just Peter DeBoer.
Yeah, I think it might be Pete DeBoer.
Well, they've been to this is their third straight at least. Yeah, so they're legit. But I really do think when I was looking back too, like a reason they don't get to the Stanley Cup Final is because they just don't score enough goals. Like if the Oilers can consistently score 3 goals in this series every single game, there is no way they lose 4 games. Like 0% chance. Dallas does not have the horses to keep going. So if you think you can steal a few games by loading up and believing in that trio of Kane, Nugent, and Hyman, or even if you wanted to go Kane, Henrique, and Brown, I think that was a really good line as well. And maybe you bump Perry up to play with Nugent and Hyman, or whoever you put next to, you know what I'm saying. It's a good option. I do think, and I completely agree with you, the Oilers have multiple spots they can see on the Dallas lineup they can expose. Wyatt Johnson, I believe, is minus 13.
Dude, there's so many guys on this Dallas team who've been underachieving. Mulick says, can Kane, Henrique, and Nuge shut down Mikko? And my point would be, I wouldn't be asking him to. I'd be asking Connor and Leon to just go power on power with Mikko. Dougie says, Tyler, why would you change a back-to-back shutout lineup? Because it's a new opponent. Yes, and a new opponent means you got to change up your game plan a little bit. I don't think you can just, I mean, maybe they will, but I don't know. I don't think you just automatically roll in your same lineup. I think like they've been doing, and like Knoblauch's talked about, you pre-scout, learn about your opponent, Build your lineup accordingly.
Well, sorry, I was just going to say, like, you have to adjust game by game, too. Knoblauch has done it numerous times.
Yeah. Someone in the comments said Alexander Petrovic, wasn't he an Oiler at some point? He was.
He's from here.
He's from here. Do you remember what the trade was to acquire him?
Oh, he was from Florida.
It was from Florida, and it was right at the same time.
Was it UC Jokinen?
No.
Damn,
No. Jokinen signed as a free agent.
Speaking of Finns.
Yeah.
UC Jokinen signed as a free agent and then was traded for
Kolpikoski?
Mike Camilleri.
Damn. Mike Camilleri.
Remember when he was an Oiler?
Yeah.
Weird
Yeah.
time in our lives.
Damn.
But no, it was Chris Weidman and a pick for Alex Petrovic.
Chris Weidman.
And it was right as they did. I think they did Kajula for Manning, like in
yeah.
in that same day or on that same
Wow,
day.
we needed to get bigger.
Yep.
So we traded our two smallest
And their
guys.
blue line was just terrible. It was old Pistol Pete was firing from the hip with those two.
We mentioned it before here. Just
Yep.
figured I'd show it. This
here's
was
the
what they
Dallas
did
lineup.
today at practice.
Makes sense.
Granlund, Hintz, Rantanen, Robertson, Duchesne, Johnston, Marchman, Steele, Sagan, Ben, Bach,
Bach.
Sebastian.
Dadonov?
Dadonov? I thought he was on Ottawa.
No. Well,
Isn't that the trade?
oh
thing?
yeah, that's what cost them their pick. Harley Heiskanen, Lindell, CC, Bichelle, and Petrovic, whatever you want to say. There you go. Shout out to Mike Heika for that one.
By the way, Smith is a defenseman.
That they're contemplating playing as a forward. So Dallas is in a great
Yeah.
spot right now. Should we get out to our first guest?
Let's go say hello.
First guest, Louie DeBrusk, is brought to you by Litco Law. Litco Law plays for Team U. They're Alberta-rooted, Edmonton-proud, and when it comes to fighting for everyday folks, they don't back down. When insurance companies play dirty, they drop the gloves. If you've been injured and want to fight for your right to fair compensation, or you've been denied your long-term disability benefits, contact Litco Law today. Stop by their office right here in town, or visit them online, litcolaw.com. Lawyers you'll love, they do exist at Litco Law. Louie DeBrusk joins us for his weekly appearance on the show. Louie. Oh.
What's going
There you
on?
go. I wasn't sure if you could see us. Louie, how's it going?
Yeah, I was just writing some notes down because just the different changes in the line combinations by Dallas, which I kind of expected coming into the series, to be honest with you. They were going 11-7 for the last couple of games. Heiskanen just getting back into the lineup. We'll see what they run with tomorrow night, but I'm imagining they're going to spread that wealth around, and you're starting to see some combinations that they've had before, so it'll be interesting.
Yeah, and maybe we'll talk about that Dallas forward group a bit more in a second. But I wanted to ask you, we were just having a bit of a debate about what the Oilers should do with their forward group. Are you of the mindset of it's not broke, don't fix it? I laid out the case that I actually think it might be smart for the Oilers to load up McDavid and Draisaitl again against this Dallas team. But what would you do if you were Kris Knoblauch?
Good question. I think with the way they've skated all week, I think they're going to be, or the last 5 days, I think they're going to keep it the way it is. That's what it looks like they're going to do. They feel good about the line combinations. They feel good about how each line is playing respectively. And I just think that it's a confidence builder. When you go into the dressing room every morning, you look up on the board and it's the same lines, you know who you're playing with, you feel good about that line. It just, that consistency every single day. For me anyway, as a player, I just always felt it really kind of builds up that confidence of a team. You know where you are, you know what line you're going to be on, you know who your line mates are going to be, and you go out there and you do your best job, and you have a job to do up against the line that you're going to play against in the opposition. Now, saying that, I think at any time Kris Knoblauch can load up the top line again. And he did it, in both the series previous, and he started it against the Vegas Golden Knights. So this is something that he didn't really do a whole lot of during the season, but if you really want that line where they just have to be aware and they have to be ready for it, you can go to that tandem and mix around the other ingredients, which they have now. The deeper they've gotten, the more likely it is that you're going to see Draisaitl and McDavid together a little bit more. But if everything's working, like you said, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I think they really like the mix of what the forward lines did, and I think they're going to go with it for game one. That's just my gut.
Obviously, exciting news the other day, seeing Mattias Ekholm skating with the team. I think obviously Knoblauch said a little bit as the Vegas series ended, he could come back, but still a surprise, I would think. Like, what percentage chance do you see him coming back, like, early in this series, let's say the first 3 games, and then whenever he does come back, like, what would you do?
I think, you know what, just from listening to him talk yesterday, and, he kind of was very careful not to say something. He's been in that before where he's come back and he doesn't really want to say a lot, but he's a pretty honest guy. He doesn't really sugarcoat a whole lot. You love that about Mattias. But I'm thinking game 3 is the target. If it was before that or after that, I understand, depending on what happens as far as the skates go up until that point. But I think he's the kind of player, though, guys, that there's certain players that when they come back into the lineup or they're ready to play in the lineup, you got to work your way back in. You're not just an automatic going in the lineup. Mattias Ekholm is an automatic. Mattias Ekholm is an automatic coming back into the lineup. It'd be no different if one of the top forwards coming back into the mix off an injury. You're going to inject him into the lineup as soon as possible. As soon as he is ready to go, he's going to play. So that's what I believe is going to happen. And the likelihood of that happening, I believe, is higher than 90% in the first 3 games. You're going to see him. I just think, the way he's been skating, the way he's been moving around. I had conversations with Mattias during the season this year talking about his off-season training. As he's gotten older, he says he's done less and less on the ice. He said he does his off-ice stuff. He knows exactly what he needs to do at his home in Sweden. He says he's in a rural part there where he trains in the summertime. And he says, listen, I know what I have to do to have myself ready when I get on the ice. Yeah, I feel a little rusty. Yeah, the hands don't feel as soft as maybe they should be, but I know I can work my way through exhibition and get myself ready. This is a guy that's been around the block a few times. This is a guy that understands what he has to do to be successful when he's on the ice. And I think he's a guy that'll step in, and I don't think he's going to have a lot of growing pains stepping into the lineup. I think he plays a simple, hard game. He uses his size well. The key component will be for him to feel healthy and his mobility. If he's healthy and he's mobile, he's good to go.
I think the one concern for me, and listen, having this stance blew up in my face because I was nervous about what they were going to get out of Evander Kane coming back early in the playoffs after his extremely long absence. I'd be a little worried about, okay, Ekholm, you're right back with Bouchard and get ready, buddy. 24 minutes, your first game back. Like, could you maybe see them going with like an 11-7 approach, much like what Dallas did with Heiskanen?
Absolutely. That, for sure. Sorry, I never touched on that. I know that was the follow-up question, Liam. Sorry, but I know that they've gone 11-7 before. You've got 6 really solid defensemen that are playing right now and done a great job. Emberson as well. So you've got 7 guys that have been in the mix and have played. And good on them. Every single guy that's gone in there has done a job and done a job well. So it would be totally not out of the realm of possibility to go 7-11. To go 7-11 to get a guy like him back in the lineup. But again, I do feel that if he is healthy and he's ready to go and he has some hard skates before he gets back in the lineup, which he's going to ratchet this up every single day now, you could also just put him right back in the lineup. I think you could trust that he's going to go in there. And if he doesn't, if for some reason he does go down and can't complete the game, the other 5 guys that are in the lineup are going to be totally capable of finishing a game and then making adjustments after that. They've done it before when he came back and was injured a couple times. So, you know what? It'll just depend on what happens in the first couple of games, I think. The game and the series is going to dictate a lot that happens here with Kris Knoblauch. Line combinations, if he shuffles things up. He's always had an eye and an ear for that. Like when things need to be changed, he's not afraid to change it. Not afraid to load up the big guys when he thinks they really need a push. But I think the more he can keep them separated, the more depth they can have down their lineup. It's done so well for them in the first 2 rounds. Why would you change it?
You and I were talking last week after the Game 5 win over Vegas. Like, Stuart Skinner back-to-back shutouts. It's always fun to compare 2 shutouts because he was technically perfect in both games. Yeah. But, man, there was something about that Game 5 performance that gave me a totally different feeling about Stuart Skinner.
Calm, right? And I think just it's amazing. We had a conversation with him in the dressing room, Jack Michaels and I, before Game 4. And he said, listen, he goes, I'm trying to do the same things that I've always done. He goes, sometimes it's hard to continue to do these things when the pucks keep going behind you in the net. But for me, my mentality and my game plan is always the same. And I really respect that. You have to rely on the things you've done well and how you've played the game in that position. And that's what Stuart does. And I think, we talked about him at length again. This is a guy from 14, 15 years of age, was playing WHL, was considered a starter right away. He's had that pressure on him for a long time. He's never not had that pressure on him. But he's okay with it. He's okay with it. And he's dealt with it. And, sometimes there's ups and downs, but when it's on the line, Stuart Skinner steps up. I got to give him credit. I mean, That's the key here, isn't it? The key is when the pressure is on, when the game's on the line, you want a guy that steps in there and feels good about his game. He feels good about his game right now going into the conference final. He out-jousted Jake Ottinger, another great young goaltender in Dallas, who gets a lot of love and a lot of attention for good reason. But he was better than him in the series last year, and he's looking to do that again for the second year in a row. But coming off 2 back-to-back shutouts, and especially like you said, I agree with you, Ty, the way he just, positionally was so sound. I call it efficiency of movement. There just wasn't a lot of extra movement from Stuart Skinner. He was in the position, he was reading the play. His frame, his size, when he's reading the play and getting ahead of it, it's pretty hard to beat him.
So the Dallas Stars can't score many goals. It seems like
Fascinating.
offense is a problem for them. So my question, Louie, is how are they in the Western Conference Finals? Like, what makes them the team that's got here? Like, how are they here?
Well, they do have a good goaltender. I'll say that first and foremost. He outdueled a guy that he's going to rival next year for the Olympic U.S. team, that's for sure, in Connor McDavid. But here's the thing. I think Dallas has always prided themselves on defense. You look at the 4 teams that are remaining. I mean, they play a complete 200-foot game. There's nobody in that 4 that doesn't play that kind of a game and prides themselves on being a hard team to play against. Dallas is the same way. Peter DeBoer's systems have always been that way. He's always trusted in depth. He's always trusted that guys are going to be beneath the puck. But at the same time, and I think this is where in the regular season we saw Dallas, especially guys like Roope Hintz, he likes to fly the zone every once in a while. And when they're feeling really confident about their defenseman getting that puck up the ice, they will fly the zone, something Edmonton's going to have to watch out for early in the series. Transitional plays in the first 2 rounds did catch Edmonton, but they were also great on their transitional plays, and then they cleaned up in the final parts of both series where they didn't give those anymore. I think early on in this series, they're going to have to really be aware of that, first and foremost. Miro Heiskanen back, being healthy, is going to help that transitional game for them, but that's what they rely on. They rely on being a stingy team. They come back to the house like most teams do now. They protect well. They're not afraid to block shots. They're not afraid to get in the lanes. They pressure, and that's what they rely on. But I do agree with you. I think, you look at their power plays where they scored a lot of their goals. Their home power play is outstanding. I mean, that's the one place that they're really lighting it up. And you can't not take note of that. Sorry, Edmonton hasn't scored a power play goal on the road, and I believe they have 9 power play goals at home during the playoffs. So that's going to be a real critical part of the series early on. And I do like the conversations that Edmonton's having right now, especially Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl. Very matter of fact, our power play will get better. It needs to, and it will. I have confidence. If you look at the series last year against Dallas, it wasn't until the last couple games that they scored power play goals. They scored 4, I believe, in the last 2 games. I'll have to look that up. But I know it wasn't until later in the series that it started to click, and it was critical in finishing off Dallas. So it'll be critical in this one as well. But these are 2 pretty well-rounded team guys. I think, you look at the 4 teams left in the playoffs, you can pick apart here and there, but I think overall, really solid teams.
Yeah, I do think you touched on it with the Oilers power play. The big guns are confident they can get it going. If Edmonton gets their power play going, this series swings in their favor. For Dallas, I think it is a tale of 2 areas that are struggling. If Dallas gets their depth scoring going, then I think things really swing in their favor because they have a lot of famous names on there. The Marchments, the Benns, Sagan, Duchesne, all these guys, Wyatt Johnston. None of them have more than like a goal or 2 in these playoffs. They're all getting caved at 5-on-5. Like, if Dallas's depth doesn't wake up and Edmonton's power play wakes up, maybe Edmonton can make this another quick series. I think there's a path to it this year for Edmonton where I almost didn't believe that a year ago today.
I agree with you. And I think that physicality is going to be important. The Winnipeg Jets beat up the Dallas Stars. And in the last couple of games, it was a little rope-a-dope. It was a lot of defending. Both teams really, really cautious and really defending, which we saw in Edmonton series as well. As the series started to close out, it just starts to get tighter and tighter and tighter. But for me, I think that physicality still needs to be elevated for the 4 teams that are remaining. I believe are 4 of the top 5 teams in the playoffs in hits. That kind of goes hand in hand. You want to take a piece of your opponent every single game. You're not doing it for just game 1. You're doing it for potentially game 7. So make sure you're taking the body all the time. You've got a couple guys over there that you know are coming back from injuries. Make them pay. Make them pay every time they touch the puck. And I think Dallas is going to have the same attitude. So it should be a physical series because they're right up there too. But you know what? I look at the depth scoring though, and I'm sorry, when I look at these lineups, I think the depth scoring leans in Edmonton's favor. It's shown that way through the first 2 series, and I do believe if it continues on the path it's on, it will show that way in this series as well. I still think the big guys are playing enough. They're playing a lot. They're 1-3 in ice time amongst forwards in the playoffs, so that are remaining, and in Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. So you're going to need to rely on your big guns as well. The best players have to be the best players. But when I look down that list, guys, that's a formidable group right there that's been around for a while. A veteran team, 2 veteran teams in the mix. But I just think that list right there, I think any team that looks at that goes, yeah, we better be ready.
Yeah, totally. It's a group that they showed it now against LA. If they get down, if their backs are against the wall, they're not going to panic and start flipping around. Like, they'll stay dialed into what they need to do. Before we let you go, who do you got coming out of the East?
Ooh, that's a good one. You know what? It's going to be an interesting series. I think that the Hurricanes are a little bit, for me, under the radar. I did their series last year against the Rangers where Kreider scored the third period hat trick to finish them off in 6, didn't go 7, but it was a good series. I think a lot of those games could have gone either way. Frederik Andersen's playing real solid. They're a skating team. They're a little faster. It's going to be interesting how they match up against a more physical, in my opinion, Florida Panthers. So that'll be the hard part. But sometimes that speed can make you chase. That's how Toronto was able to get up on Florida. They couldn't finish it off in that regard. Once it started to tighten up, they had their chances. But I think that the Carolina Hurricanes are a team right now that are poised to kind of make some noise. I'm going to call the upset. I don't know why I feel Carolina is going to potentially win that series. You could see a rematch of the 2006 Stanley Cup Final. But I do believe that Carolina is going to give them a run for their money because they're feeling pretty confident right now. And they have great defenders. They have a team that can defend as well. I want to touch on something you mentioned there. Darnell Nurse, I had a conversation with him a few days ago, and he talked about that poise. He talked about the poise on the bench. He said this team, he goes, regardless of the score, regardless of what's going on, I've looked over many times and looked at the bench just to kind of get a read and see what's going on. They're calm. They don't get too up. They don't get down. It's shift after shift. They have a game plan. They have a confidence in their group, and it's a quiet confidence, and that's dangerous because they don't need to get out there and tell everybody how good they are. They just go out there and do it on the ice, and I kind of appreciate that. I like that a lot. But Darnell said that's something that has been honed over years now of this group being together. Some hard losses, some great victories, and a hard loss last year in the final. It hardens you in those areas to understand it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's a 7-game series for a reason. So there's no need in panicking early on. So I don't expect a whole lot of panic from either group, but especially from Edmonton.
I mean, there's a reason cliches become cliche. It's because there's some truth in them. And you always hear in hockey, like, you have to learn how to lose before you learn how to win. You hear all those stories about the 80s Oilers. When we had Messier on, we talked about it. Like, you need to go through those battles. And when you look at the last 3-4 years, the Oilers are a top 3 team in games played in the playoffs. Like, this isn't a group that should be going through anything for the first time anymore.
Nope. And I do believe, like, the competitive juices just get better and better and more dialed in, to be honest. I think, you look at this team, look what they've done after each series win. It's been a calm press conference. It hasn't been, hey, we're not ready to pat ourselves in the back yet. It's move on to the next. Even a little growly after the Vegas series, this team, I believe right from the start of the season this year after losing in Game 7 to Florida, has had a different demeanor. It's, call it cranky, call it a little chip on their shoulder, whatever you want to call it. Internally, you continually hear them talk about belief. There's belief in that room. So they're really trying to block out the outside noise and be a real tight-knit group, which I think you have to do at this time of year. You have to just really do it for one another, bring your best game forward, and that's what they've done so far. So they've closed out 2 really good teams. They're going to face another one in the Dallas Stars. I think they've got the edge. I'm picking them in the series, but it's going to be a battle.
Louie, obviously, our chat is disappointed. You're not going to be on their TVs for round 3. We're disappointed in it. So what's the game days look like for Louie DeBrusk now? Team's obviously on the road. What are you doing? You coming to hang out with me and Liam? Oh, you're golfing.
Golfing.
Good call.
Yeah, golfing. You know what? I'll be on the golf course as much as possible. I'll be watching the games. They'll be exciting. I'm looking forward to watching them and taking them in. Have some shows I've got to do throughout the playoffs, so I need to be ready. But I'm excited to see how these two series go, and I'm excited for the guys. You know, when I got to do the first couple of rounds, which was great, and I'll be a happy spectator right now watching and being a big fan.
Love it, Louie. As always, appreciate you popping on, and we'll chat with you again in a week.
All right, guys. Take care.
See you
There
later.
you go. Louie DeBrusk. Always a pleasure having Louie on the show. His appearance brought to you not just by Litco Law, but also by Charm Diamond Centers. You can find them online, charmdiamondcenters.com. And they're the spot where you can get a custom ring built and delivered in less than 4 weeks with the Charm Diamond Masterpiece program. You can also apply for a Charm Diamond Flexity card today and get approved for no interest financing on your purchase in minutes. Charmdiamondcenters.com, proudly Canadian owned and operated.
TSN 1050 Toronto put out a 10-minute video of every exit interview from the Toronto Maple Leafs
Oh my God.
like them getting eliminated, and it's just like, we got to learn. We got to be hungrier. Just like the same stuff over and over. It's like, that is harsh. No pressure in that market, though. God, that was a big thing yesterday. Did you see all that? How
Was
can
it
you
ever?
blame the fans? Well, you guys threw jerseys on the ice in game 5 and 7 of a playoff series, so
Yeah.
that was special. But
You acted basically like everything
Children.
was over after
Yeah.
you lost one game or you lost. It wasn't even an elimination game. So
I game.
yeah, it was ridiculous. Loved having Louie on. Someone said, get him in studio, maybe.
Maybe. He's
That'd be
golfing,
fun.
though.
He's golfing.
I don't know if you noticed, we tried to tee him up there. He's like, I'll come hang out. And he's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like,
Louie,
"Nah,
you want to
guys,
hang out with us?
I'm golfing.
He's like, yeah.
Where
And
do you think
honestly,
he golfs? Rundle?
I'm sure Louie's got some good spot. There's no way Louie could call anywhere, right? He's on that status where it's like, I want to come play. And they're probably just like, absolutely, Louie.
But
Very.
he's also a great guy.
Oh, yeah. He's the best.
Like, he's just a good dude.
Absolute best. All right, Aaron, can we do sounds in the room? All right, let's do sounds in the room. It's brought to you by our friends at Budweiser. Budweiser has been brewed in Edmonton for 45 years, and by partnering with Marc Messier on this limited edition can, it's their way to show that the City of Champions spirit is alive and well in Edmonton. At this time of year, Budweiser knows the city is united and energized, and they wanted to give Edmontonians a new way to express their pride by raising a cold one and reminding them what the City of Champions spirit is all about. And speaking of that City of Champions spirit, Leon Draisaitl yesterday, on the heels of the Toronto Maple Leafs and all of that discourse, Draisaitl was talked about the pressures of playing in Canada.
I'm talking about all Canada cheering for you. But there's a lot of pressure here. Do you think that the pressure gets to teams? I know you guys have gone through it, but you know this is you're in a fishbowl where maybe some
Yeah,
guys
of course.
Like
I mean, the pressure is higher here, of course. Just through media, fans, the expectations. That's just the way it is. It's a hockey country. It starts with hockey and it ends with hockey in this country. And I don't know if teams feel that they get under pressure with that. I'm not the right person to answer that, but we can handle it, and we're excited to get back to playing and put our best foot forward.
There you go. Leon Draisaitl. There is no and that's the other thing too, is like, yes, there's a lot of, call it pressure, I suppose, in Toronto, but like, I don't know. One, I don't love the whole like blaming the fans, even though like I think Leafs fans are just so fragile and volatile. And I mean, it's reflected in the media a little bit too, right? Like, how many times a year do we get the whole, this year's the cup year for the Leafs because they've won 5 games in a row, or because someone fought and it's like, oh, now they're different. Like, I don't know. Also, like, I like what Kevin Bieksa kind of said on the panel the other day, like, 31 other teams in the NHL who deserve to win just as much as Toronto, if you believe it or not.
Yeah, I'm just over the Maple Leafs. I don't think they're very good, and I'm curious where Mitch Marner goes, and it would be very funny to see his team knock out Toronto next season.
That would be, can you imagine if he like signed in Carolina and they beat the Leafs next year? Unreal.
Oh yeah, Carolina is a great shout. They have a lot of money this year.
It would also be, again, such a kick in the you-know-what to the Leafs if Marner says no to the trade at the trade deadline to go to Carolina for Rantanen, then just signs with Carolina. Oh, my God. And Carolina's got the money to do it. Louis kind of got me going a little bit on Mattias Ekholm.
Yeah, I think he's back game 1 now.
I mean, as soon as Louis out here throwing out the 90% number, it's like, hello. And to be fair, Mattias Ekholm spoke a little bit about his injury. That's what Louis was referencing. Let's take a listen to what the Swedish defenseman had to say.
No, I feel good. I didn't think I was going to be in this position this quick, so I'm really happy about that. Our trainers have done a tremendous job with me. Healing has gone better than I thought. But still just trying to take it day by day. Today was first time with the team on the ice in a full practice. Thought that went pretty well. Now it's a matter of how do I feel tomorrow. So, I mean, I can't rule anything out, rule anything in, whatever it is. I'm trying to be on a day-to-day basis, and I'm just happy that I've come this far along.
There you go.
I'm happy too, Mattias.
Yeah, I'm happy as well for you, Mattias. I can't wait to see you back in the lineup and playing well. And, I mean, listen, we were pessimistic that we'd see him in these playoffs, but if this is the case and he's ready to go in game 3 and he's like authentically 100% or 95% ready, then yeah, you absolutely play the guy like Louie said, and I'd be curious to know how hard they can push him early on.
Even he kind of said that too. He's like, I'm surprised I'm here or whatever he said.
Yeah.
Right? Like the injury is a tough one to come back from, but if he's able to perform at anywhere close to the level he's capable of, it's a massive win for the Oilers.
Totally. You know what I actually wanted to get to before we get to Doobie today? I want to take a look, talk a little bit more with you about that Carolina-Florida series. It starts tonight. It's on your menu, and the menu is brought to you by the Ninja Crispy 4-in-1 portable glass air fryer.
Meet the Ninja Crispy portable cooking system. The power of a full-sized air fryer in the palm of your hand.
It's an all-in-one system that includes 4-quart, 6-cup Tempware glass containers and 2 storage lids. The Ninja Crispy is thermal shock resistant and can go from frozen to crispy in just minutes. With the Crispy Power Pod, you get the power of a full-sized air fryer in the palm of your hands. The 4-quart container can fit 4 pounds of chicken or veggies and allows you to cook a personal-sized meal in 7 minutes. Max Crisp, bake, air fry, re-crisp, do it all with the Ninja Crispy. Visit their website with the link in the description and stay tuned because we will be giving one away to one lucky viewer. Liam, the menu tonight, 6 o'clock puck drop, Carolina, Florida. Carolina has been to the conference finals, the Eastern Conference Finals, 3 times since they won the Stanley Cup back in 2006.
One last year.
Swept.
The one before that.
2019, swept.
Oh, no.
And back in 08-09, guess what?
Swept. Damn.
They've lost their last 12 games in the conference final. It's pretty crazy to look at this. And these are just their last few seasons and how they've been bounced. But you see the 2 conference final losses, swept by the Islanders and swept by the Islanders one I think might have been round 2. Either way, they've been swept their last 2 times in the conference final because the Islanders never made a cup final.
Oh, yeah, it was the second.
Yeah, it was the second round.
Back-to-back conference finals.
They did make back-to-back conference finals. Anyways.
And Louie lived on that forever.
He did. Anyways, what are you expecting tonight from these 2?
Look, I'm not going to sit here and lie. The Carolina Hurricanes aren't exactly a team I turn my TV set on to watch very often.
No.
But they are a team that I know has made this a pretty short Stanley Cup playoff so far for them.
Yep.
I think they've had a relatively easier path. I think Washington, a good team, probably exceeded expectations by quite a significant margin. New Jersey, obviously, very banged up. I think Carolina's going to be pretty fresh, where Florida just went through 7 games with Toronto, and I know the score lines make it look like it was lopsided, but they had to put in a lot to do that. So I think Carolina, are they the home team or the road team to start?
They are the home team.
So Carolina will win tonight. They'll avoid the sweep. I do think Carolina will come through. I think it can go 7. I don't believe in Florida.
Yeah.
I don't know about you. I don't really believe in either of these teams.
Well, no, I mean, Florida, listen, I was someone who picked Florida to lose in round 1 because I just thought eventually they have to run out of gas. Like, playing that much hockey, going to cup final after cup final, eventually you just lose a series.
Yeah.
They're proving that isn't the case. And by adding Jones and adding Marchand, like, they injected some new life into there. Like, they are a bit of a different team than they were a year ago, especially the blue line. So I have no choice but to believe in the Florida Panthers. The Canes are the one. Listen, rank the 4 teams they've beat. Toronto, Tampa, Washington, and New Jersey. I think the order probably goes Tampa or Toronto 1 and 2, and then Washington, Carolina 3, or Washington, New Jersey 3 and 4. Like, New Jersey's a distant 4, and like, I like Tampa more than I like Washington. I actually, call me crazy, think Toronto was a better team than the Washington Capitals, choking stuff aside.
Yeah, I agree. I think that I just think eventually Carolina's got to push themselves across the line here, and
yeah.
Freddie Anderson, he's been a good goalie for a while. Is he going to be able to keep it up? He usually tends to get injured at some point. They actually didn't play him in one game in the first round because they just gave him a break. So
Yeah, they were so confident in beating the Devils. They were like, "You're good for one, Freddie."
Yeah, so I don't know. They got to figure it out. I think Svechnikov has 8 goals, right? He's a guy that's kind of been taken off in Carolina, so that's big. Matthew Tkachuk, I think, only had 1 goal in that second round against Toronto.
Yeah,
maybe not that many.
I think the only guys who had multiple goals in that series were Luosterainen and Marchand.
Yeah, so
Reinhardt, I think, did. But anyways, yeah, you look at this scoring leaders, like Marchand and Luosterainen are leading the team in scoring. Tkachuk's not even in their top 5. He's so hurt right now.
Yeah.
He's playing through it. All the credit to him, but
Did you see that stuff today of the
warm-up?
the medicine ball on the wall and everything?
Yeah, I did. I was thinking maybe we could get to that in a quick little what's trending at the end, Liam. Doobie's here. All right, let's go to the Star Mechanical Guest Line, Edmonton's #1 plumbing and heating company. You can find out more by visiting them online at starmechanical.ca. Whether it's residential, commercial, 24/7 emergency service, they do it all. They do it well at Star Mechanical. They've been in the Edmonton area for more than 20 years. Plenty of Edmontonians trust them with their plumbing and heating needs. So can you. You know who I trust with takes on goaltending, Liam?
Yes.
Carter Hutton. Nah, I'm just kidding. It's Devin Dubnyk. Hey, Doobie, how you doing?
That's awesome. You know what's great? I was at my kid at a hockey tournament this weekend. There was a Thunder Bay team there, and I had no idea. And I'm walking to the bench, and Hutz was on the other team. He was coaching the other team. So, yeah, small world.
Carter Hutton, you can find him on the Daily Face-Off YouTube. You can find Doobie on our pre- and post-game shows. A new episode of Ask Doobie is going to drop tomorrow here on the Oilers Nation YouTube. Yes, they're co-workers once again in life, Doobie and Hutz. Let's start with some goaltending talk here. Staring down the barrel of another Jake Ottinger matchup for the Edmonton Oilers, and he's really damn good. Is there a weakness?
I wouldn't go with a weakness. Like anything, when you run into a really good goalie who's obviously playing at the top of his game right now, I mean, if you watch those last couple Winnipeg games, I know Winnipeg won Game 5. He was unbelievable. I think Winnipeg had the majority, I thought, of the good scoring chances. It was they were exciting games. There were scoring chances both ways. I thought Hellebuyck played really well, but Ottinger was really, really, really good. And so when things are going well in front of you, you're feeling it, everything's in control. That's great. What Edmonton needs to do is they need to create chaos. They need, and if anybody's able to do that and make somebody feel uncomfortable, it's the Oilers. And that's going to be a combination of, again, we've talked about this kind of all playoffs, especially when it comes to the power play, but establishing a shot and maybe not getting stagnant on the outside, but just creating chaos in front of them. That's what happened with Hellebuyck. We got asked over and over what's wrong with Hellebuyck in the playoffs. Well, for any goalie, they're as good as the team in front of them and the structure and what they're used to. So what happened with Hellebuyck was obviously he wasn't feeling as good, but teams were able to get to the structure of the Winnipeg Jets. They weren't the same team defending that they were in the regular season. They didn't have that same structure. Chaos ensued, and what happens, it trickles into the game of the goalie. They start to not trust what's going on in front of them, questioning things. They don't feel confident, and the saves aren't there. And that's what Edmonton needs to do with Dallas and Ottinger. And I don't think Dallas has been overly tight defensively watching these games. They certainly give up their scoring chances. So Edmonton, not the team that I would want to be giving up these scoring chances because they've got the guys that'll put it in the back of the net. But if it is tighter for whatever reason and they're not able to make these cross seam or pretty plays, those are always going to come. Create the chaos. Create the chaos in front. Shots, rebounds, recoveries, then those seam passes open up. And when you can just make what's happening in front of Jake Ottinger all of a sudden feel like unstructured and chaotic, then he might start sinking back in his net. He might start thinking about other things other than just being dialed. When things are going well in front of you, usually you have two options. You're like, I got the guy that might shoot, or there's one guy that he can pass to that I know where he is. I know there's no other option, so I know I can get there. I can sit right here and wait on it, and everything's good. If you can get some chaos going, some good cross-seam passes, shots, rebounds, screens, all of these things, now all of a sudden, when things aren't going well, it feels like there's 10 guys on the other team, and you have no idea who it's going to, but you feel like there's somebody somewhere at all times. Then you start to see the straight shots start to go through. Maybe they trickle through, maybe you're off angle a little bit because you are thinking about other things that you shouldn't be thinking about. And so that's on the Oilers to create chaos. You guys know, you can have a strategy all you want. It's hard to create offense in the NHL, especially in the playoffs. So you can have a strategy, whether it's, pass to this side and shoot here. Well, that's all great, but you still have to be able to create that. So I think it's mostly getting the other team and the goalie uncomfortable.
It did seem like it towards the end of that Winnipeg series, like they were getting a couple goals, like you said, just like throwing pucks in front, going off ankles, or just like bringing it right across. And I was lucky. Do you have that finger in that I sent you before, like the goalie? What would you call it? Whatever it is. These were kind of the weak spots. It seems like if you can get over his pad, that's the way to go. But obviously, that's a lot easier said than done as well. But by what you're saying is the Oilers just kind of need to do what they did a little bit in, what was it, Game 4 against Vegas, where maybe not as aggressive on Jake Ottinger because he's not as
he's not a spaz like Hill,
Hill, but like get in his crease a little bit, right?
Yes, exactly. Like Crash, if you can get in his vision in all the time, and it doesn't necessarily need to be shots getting to the net all the time. Like it's great. Obviously you want to screen when a shot's coming, you need guys there, go to the net, all that stuff. But even just in zone play, if you're constantly there, if you're constantly crossing his eyes, if he's constantly losing sight of the puck, even if it's not coming to the net, it still starts to feel overwhelming, and you start to get an uncomfortable feeling when there's a potential for a shot and you can't find it, and you're looking around and it seems like every 3 seconds you're losing sight of the puck. That's that feeling that starts to build, that you start to feel not comfortable and you don't know what's going on in front of you. So they can do this stuff, like you said, crash the crease, little bumps here and there. But I think mainly it's just creating the havoc in the middle of the ice and not just staying to the outside. And obviously Edmonton is extremely good at the cross seams and all the creative stuff, but just that constant where he's got to work every single time the puck's in the zone. He's got to be working to find it, and he's constantly losing sight of it, wondering if it's coming to the net, wondering what's going on. That's when you'll start to see him sink back in his crease and things will start to open up.
First off, my camera is frozen.
Oh, I wondered what was
so
happening.
it just looks like I'm dialed in there, just really focused on what
I didn't realize
saying.
I was that entertaining, but I'll take that as a compliment.
But just along those lines, too, I feel like there's going to be a lot of pressure in this series on the Stars blue line. Like, you kind of look at it on paper, and that top pairing is obviously so good. Thomas Harley, I think, is just coming into his own as a number one defenseman. Miro Heiskanen, put that top pairing up against anyone. You look at everything else, and it's like, okay, they have Ceci on the second pair, a little bit of slow boots there. The third pairing's got Petrovic or Lyubushkin. Okay, some slow boots there. Like, I get that people and the Oilers fans in our chat at points are maybe a little bit worried about Ottinger, but like I choose to go more along the lines of I don't know if this Dallas blue line can contain the Oilers for a full 7-game series. Like this doesn't inspire a lot of confidence on paper looking at this Dallas blue line.
I agree. We've seen CC, and I don't like to bash and hate, but I've seen some interesting turnovers. I think he's second as a pizza delivery man there for some times in his Oilers days. But yeah, I mean, you have Heiskanen and Harley, right? They have the speed to be able to keep up at least with McDavid. But if they can get the lines, if they want to split up McDavid and Draisaitl after those top two, just like you said, are these guys able to keep up and to shut down? And I don't know if that's the answer. Another thing with Vegas, like I think this series is going to be exciting to watch after watching Winnipeg versus Dallas, because Vegas just did such a good job of just shutting down the middle of the ice. And Connor and Leon, they're trying. Like even with that, there's still exciting plays. But that whole series, I think, was pretty rare to see the limited amount of ice that they had. But part of that was Jack Eichel and Mark Stone as well. It wasn't just the defense. Jack Eichel was a beast on McDavid. He was all over him every time. It was really, really impressive to watch. I don't think that Dallas is capable of doing that. So I think it's going to be more fun to watch that way, because I think the scoring chances are going to be there. But over a 7-game series, hopefully not 7 games in the Oilers' favor, but I don't know if you can't. I can't think of a team that's going to be able to contain them as well as Vegas did, and they still won in 5 games. So it's going to be interesting. I think it's just, again, it's getting to Ottinger, finding a way to get him off, get a few goals against him, and just be relentless and be the team that we've watched. But I don't know. I don't want to jinx it. I like this matchup better than Vegas, being that the puck hasn't dropped yet, but I like it better.
I completely agree.
I do too. And like, I don't know. Like, you don't want to jinx it. You don't want to get too far ahead of yourself. But like, I don't know. That Vegas series showed me something again with this Oilers depth. It almost cemented that like the LA stuff wasn't a fluke. Like, I'm looking back, Connor McDavid's game logs, 2 points, 1 point, 2 points, 1 point, 0 points. He only scores once. 5-on-5 production and chances were way down. And it's like, it's not even like Edmonton needed to get lucky and win it in 7 games. Like, the power play stinks right now. Connor McDavid, by his standards, is cold, and they worked their way through the division winner like that. Like, I just don't see how much better of a fight Dallas can put forth unless some guys start playing much better hockey, because they have, again, a lot of talent in their bottom 6 and bottom 9 that's just not playing well right now.
That's true, and the positive thing with that too is with McDavid's production is I don't like, it's not poor play from him at all. Like, I think that's just purely a incredible job by, like I mentioned, Eichel and Stone and Vegas and the big Vegas defensemen. Like, they just did a really good job of not giving him space, because you watch the games, and not to dig on Toronto right now because they're already as low as you could be, but like, they're superstars. Like, there's no push from them. Like, there was just nothing there. You watch these Vegas games, there's nothing there for McDavid, but he is buzzing every shift. Like, you can see he's working, he's trying to get there. There's still explosions. You still, you got the overtime goal, but they're just doing such a good job on him. But he's not disappearing. He's not like he didn't have an off series. He just got defended really well, and everyone else stepped up. So I still love his game. Yeah, hot take. You like Connor McDavid's game, but I think he played really well even with the lack of production. So it's a good thing to see. Like I said, you watch the Leafs, it's like the guys disappeared, unfortunately, and there wasn't that feeling when those guys were on the ice. Even when you shut down, it's electric every time McDavid steps on the ice, and same with Draisaitl.
Obviously, on the Stars, I use the Oilers Stars, not the Dallas Stars. They haven't produced like we want them to. Like, what are you seeing on the power play that you think needs to change? Because I think if the Oilers can get the power play going too and start averaging, let's say, 3 goals a game in a series, I don't see how Dallas can do that for 4 games.
3 goals a game at all strengths, not just on the power play.
Yeah, and everything. Yeah. That would be unreal. If they can get 3 on the power play every night,
it's over.
We're sweeping. But what are you seeing on the power play that just isn't working?
Well, it's again, I've taught, it's establishing the shot in that chaos. I keep saying chaos, but that's what it has to be, because that's what opens up all of the abilities for these guys to make plays. It opens up the seams. So I'm not saying, hey, Oilers power play, just kick it back to Bouchard and take shots. They're too good for that. However, if you look at the start of the LA series, LA was so structured, and they just gave them the outside. Vegas did a little bit of the same, and I felt like the Oilers were getting back to that look that they had at the beginning of the LA series, where they have the puck. They have puck possession. They're passing the puck around. It's all outside, and then eventually they don't have anything, so they try to force a pass through the seam. It gets knocked down and shot down the ice. And the teams play, the good penalty-killing teams, if they're in structure, those plays just aren't going to be available. Not everyone kills penalties like the Oilers had. When those teams are available, even in full structure, most teams will shut those down in full structure. But you have to take shots, all right? Hammer shots. It can go off shin pads into the corner. Then you recover. You pass it back up wherever in the slot, rip a shot. Maybe it's a rebound off the goalie. You recover. Now, all of a sudden, the penalty kill structure, they're chasing the puck down. This guy's over here. This guy doesn't know if he should go here. Seam opens. Another pass. That's where all of that stuff opens, and the Oilers are fully capable of executing those plays when they come, but they have to create them by starting with kind of the mayhem and puck retrievals. Pucks on net, retrieve, puck on net, retrieve. Now you got him out of sync. Now you start snapping it around, and that's when you see Connor McDavid, where he's like Rover. He picks the puck up, he circles around the net. Their players are all still trying to figure out where they should be, because they've been chasing down rebounds. And now they're out of sync. And he's going up here. I don't know if I should go to that guy, this guy, turn around, it's in the back of the net.
Yeah, if you let them focus on taking away that Draisaitl pass, the Draisaitl pass will never be there, right? But if you can get some chaos, like you said, that's where you can get those seams. Last one before we let you go. From your playing days, do you have any experience, or do you know who the glass banger guy is in Dallas?
The glass bang? Actually, I don't. Where is he posted here?
He sits like red. This is from a road game, this picture, but he sits right behind the net in Dallas. He sat there for years, and he just bangs on the glass.
Yes, I am aware of him now that you bring that up. We did have a playoff series, but it just goes to show you that it's not that important.
Okay,
I do remember him though. He did always had it didn't say #bang on it, but he always had something dumb in his hand that he'd be putting up against the glass. But yes, now that you put the picture up, I do recognize that face. We did have one playoff series in Dallas as well. And hey, this is another rink too. It's loud in there. The Dallas arena gets. I'm sure you watched some of the Winnipeg games, but like to end the games, the whole place is standing. It can be rowdy in there, so it's going to be fun atmosphere. But I do remember this fellow with the bang sign.
Well, I know you're not like big on Twitter or whatever. Doobie, he's been in jail for the last 8 months. He got out of jail like 2 days ago.
Oh my God. Okay.
So that's the only thing that worries me is the juju, the vibe. Glassbanger guy was in the clink for basically a year, and he's out in time for the Western Conference Final. That's why he tweeted, "I'm back. Spread the word."
Okay, well, maybe he breaks parole or pushes the boundaries a little too hard and ends up back in jail, but I don't know. I shouldn't wish that upon anybody. No.
Well,
I don't even want to know why he was in jail for 8 months. So
for breaking parole.
Oh God. Okay.
All right. Our chat is saying, by the way, no more green hat for the rest of this series. But other than that, you were good today.
Deal. No more green. No more green for the rest of this series. Deal.
All right, Doobie. Enjoy pre and post tomorrow, and we'll chat with you again next week.
All right. Sounds good, boys. See ya.
See
ya. It's always good in life to have one or two friends who aren't on the internet, because then you get to explain the internet things to them, right?
Yeah.
Like, we'll teach Doobie who the Rizzler is next week.
Doobie, you know the Costco guys?
Yeah, do you know the Costco guys, Doobie? What did he go to jail for? He had a warrant for breaking parole for a driving while impaired, and then he got in another car accident, and they were like, "You're not supposed to be driving a vehicle."
He's a loser.
Yeah, he is. He sits in his dad's seats
alone.
He said Biz Nasty will be on our side because he's so anti-Glassbanger.
Yeah.
Is that good
But
or
I don't
bad?
think we want Biz on our side.
Devin Dubnyk's appearance is, ironically enough, also brought to you by Litco Law. Litco Law plays for Team U. They're rooted in Alberta. They are Edmonton proud. And when it comes for fighting for everyday folks, they don't back down ever. Stop by their office right here in town. Visit them online, litcolaw.com. Lawyers you love, they do exist at litcolaw.com. Quick little what's trending, Liam, for our friends at Garage Superstore. They have 6 real full-size garages that you can walk through at their physical location. You can also shop online, and it's not just basic garage needs. They got Traeger grills, everything for outdoor living, polyasperatic floor coatings, rubber paving, vehicle hoists, storage racks. They do it all. Find out more at garagesuperstore.ca. Number 1 in what's trending is, yes, Glassbanger guy's out of jail. Number 2 in what's trending, the New York Islanders have their GM search down to apparently Mark Bergevin or Matthew Darche. Arthur Staple floated the idea of them doing co-GMs.
That just doesn't seem like a good idea.
Don't think that works.
No, that's not how things go around here anymore.
Seems like a bad idea. Number 3, if you haven't voted for Arjun Atwal to win the Willie O'Ree Award yet today, go do it. Link coming in the YouTube.
Yep, go vote for Arj. I just retweeted something today. I think it was from his own account. You can vote every single day. I have been. It'd be amazing if he was able to win.
That's all we want. We want to have him back on the show as winner of the Willie O'Ree Award. I have another thing, too. This from Charlie Goldsmith. He's a beat reporter for the Cincinnati Reds, all right?
Okay.
He tweets out, in batting, this was at 3:24 yesterday. In batting practice today, a Reds player hit a pigeon with a line drive.
Whoa.
Unfortunately, the bird has passed away immediately.
Yep, that'll happen.
He tweets 1 minute later,
Oh, no.
update, the pigeon is alive.
Whoa.
No way.
But he's essentially on life support.
Wow. Probably hit him with another baseball and call it a day.
Liam is pro take him out of his misery. I was going to use another line.
100%.
Cincinnati Reds won't pay for their payroll. They got to pay for that bird.
Yeah,
They
come
got it.
And then the Reds tweeted last night. They tweeted, win for pigeon.
Oh, boy. Was that him?
I don't know if that's him.
Was there a camera inside?
They tweeted like a bunch of different photos of win for pigeon.
Damn.
Is there any video evidence of this? We all remember Randy Johnson.
Yeah, we do
one
remember
of the craziest
Randy
highlights ever.
That was nuts.
That's hilarious. That's the kind of thing that can rally a team.
You ever accidentally killed a bird before? I did once.
Wait, in your car?
Yeah, I was driving I'd actually just passed the Beaver shortly after. I was driving through Dawson Creek, and I hit it, and I pulled over, and luckily I had a shoebox in the back of my car. and it was stuck in the grill. I was driving a Jeep Wrangler.
Oh, yeah.
And I put it out, put it in the box, and said a little prayer, and then said farewell. Off I went.
I'm ashamed of this, but as a little kid, I had a BB gun, and I was trying to shoot a bird, and I did eventually.
Oh, no.
Found the bird, and just still to this day, it destroys me.
Yeah.
I cried so much. It still haunts me. Can't believe I did something like that.
Dude,
Don't do that.
I'm a meat eater, all that stuff. But I'm also like the worst kind where it's like, don't tell me. I never want to go hunting. Yeah. I want to get it from the grocery store. I couldn't shoot an animal.
No, me neither.
No, it sucked, dude. Don't.
Not for me.
I'm the kind of guy that slams on his brakes to like avoid a squirrel.
What? Oh, I don't
That's kind of crazy.
I do have beef with the squirrels though, but
I hit a moose with my car once, and yes, I hit a moose with my car.
You hit a moose?
Yes, I'll show you the photos.
Like Rantanen?
If he's in my way, I'll find
Heads up,
it.
Mikko. These streets ain't for you, buddy.
Wow.
But I took that moose out, and I had to meet wildlife like the next day and be like, yeah, he went in there somewhere.
Damn.
Just a trail of blood and everything.
Oh, he didn't die.
Well, then they went and had to
you have
finish
to call.
the job.
You have to call that in, don't you?
Yeah, and had to go
Hey
meet
guys,
them.
just hit a moose.
1-0 versus the moose. Mikko, we're coming.
Fishing, I could fish. I could probably
Fishing's
fish.
a bit different.
Yeah. Someone said you guys are soft. Really? You don't say.
Yeah.
Shocker.
We're city folk. Snow. What is
Liam cosplays as a farmer on the weekend. Someone said hunting's lit though. I don't see the appeal.
It seems like a long,
Like sitting in a tree
thing.
blind doesn't sound that fun.
Nope.
If I had beers in there, it would be, but then I think that would take away from my hunting ability and handling a gun.
Also,
if you
beers
can
and
do that.
guns.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the best idea in the world.
Yeah, that seems a bit crazy.
My windshield was smashed to pieces.
Oh, yeah?
That's not surprising. It
Hood,
was a moose.
dented, side mirror gone. But I still drove that car for another 2 years.
Fishing trip with Tyler. We might be doing that with Sherwood Power Sports and Marine.
Damn.
Also, tomorrow we're live on location. Shout out to Sherwood Ford the Giant. Can't wait for that.
Sherbucks. How excited. On a Wednesday, too.
Tyler, it's a moose. A moose does not lose a fight versus a car. Those MFers are huge. It sounds like the moose
Just
kind
did.
of lost that
Sound
fight
like-
against
I
the
only
car.
hit him on the side because I was trying to go in the ditch when I was doing it. He did like a
You can
540 up in the air.
I know, like, again, I know they're huge, obviously. I'm not an idiot. But, like, a moose will lose a fight with a truck or something. It will die.
Yeah.
I've seen a moose
If I
on
hit
the
him
side of
head
the road.
on, he would have pinned me, but I didn't hit him head on.
Yeah, they're heavy. Because they don't go up. They fall into you. When you hit a
Into you.
deer, it goes up, I believe. When
They
you hit a
pin you,
moose,
I
it
believe, in
falls
your
on-
vehicle.
It falls onto your
They're too
car.
big.
You almost, not to get into this too much. When they say when you
Pin it.
a deer, you pin it.
Yeah.
With a moose to hit the ditch, like you tried to do.
Country
There you
boy,
go.
I knew.
Little advice for everyone out there.
Tyler Mulick, the podcasters are soft, grass is green, more at 5. yeah,
What do you want from us?
there's a reason I didn't get into construction.
I'm gonna go home, tuck into my nice little brown blanket, and watch Gilmore Girls later.
Hell yeah, I have
Come on, I'm not
calluses on my hand. They're from golfing.
Yeah, I'm not afraid of who I am. This is a peppermint tea. It says my name in gold sparkles.
Oh my God. Yeah,
Liam.
we're never beating the soft allocations now. I didn't know.
Yeah, it's fine.
Wait,
It's a
show
short-
that. Look
But
at
you
that.
got that from Sherwood Ford?
Yeah, and my girlfriend made it for me.
Oh,
She had a cricket and she wanted to test it, so she wrote my name on it.
all right.
There you go. Shout out Sherwood Ford. Thanks,
Okay.
Emma.
Bet365.
Come on, let's shut this down and go and have a nice cold Budweiser.
Bet365 quickly, official partner of the Stanley Cup playoffs, player props, game lines, everything, whatever your bet, it's never ordinary at Bet365, an official partner of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Download the app, 19 plus. Jarvis Reinhart shot props, boom, plus 260 for tonight, 3+ each. Brad Marchand over 1.5 goals in this series, plus 120.
I like what Doobie
All
just told us then about the middle of the ice being open for McDavid and Draisaitl. So I'm going to look at that.
All right. We'll have more on that tomorrow when it's our first Sherwood Ford Giant game day of the conference finals. That's a wrap on today's edition of the show. Thank you to everybody in the YouTube. That was great. Louie, Doobie, that was a good show. That was a good one.
This is a fun one.
All right. Tomorrow, game day. Can't wait. See you all then. Oil up.